from a J&M product?
Way better.
We're here today in Minnesota with Zach Johnson, Minnesota Millennial farmer. We dropped off this 1,800 gallon NitroGro nitrogen applicator for Zach to use and do a little walk around with Zach, talk about some of the features. One of the main selling features we have is the transport width of our applicator. It's 11 foot 9 inches, which is the narrowest in the industry. And then we also have a 11 foot 10 transport height. The 2600 that we have is just a foot taller too. So
It's just got the rounded tank on top, so it gets a little bit taller.
It's exactly the same.
Are the booms the same? They sit the same then on the 2600?
Yes,
okay.
they do. So, yep.
You mentioned before the walking tandems with the 2600, and you can get this with either or?
Right. So the 1800, you can have a single or a walking tandem.
Okay.
Which this one has the singles.
Right.
But on the 2600, we have just the walking tandems.
Just to spread that weight out a little bit more. That's a lot of gallons.
It is. Another nice feature that we have is the hitch to axle length on our applicators. It's only 14 feet, so the tires on the applicator follow the tires on the tractor nicely, and so you don't get like 2 rows of tire tracks going through the corn, so you have less damage.
And then you can get by without the steerable axle, right?
The steerable hitch, yes.
Okay.
Yep.
For the steerable hitch, yeah.
Which is a pretty expensive upgrade to do. You know.
We'll see the balls, I suppose, floating in here to make sure we got pressure on each one.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep. And those are more to tell you if something's clogged or whatever. You know. So if you see one sitting down on the ground or on the bottom, you know that row is clogged. So.
Sure. Then you can physically see it. I like that.
Yes. Our remotes also are pretty simple. So as you get in there today, you'll find out that you can use just 4 of the remotes in the tractor, and you don't have to have a secondary control box with a switch and things like that, so you're not going back and forth. So
sure.
So
that's going to help me because I don't know what I'm doing here yet.
Well, you said that. You haven't done this ever in your life.
No.
So we can talk about the coulters here too. Hair linkage coulters on here. They're made by J&M. These help keep the knife consistency in the ground, you know, at a nice consistent depth. Traditional coulters, this knife will come up at an angle. This one stays nice and flat with the coulter. So as the coulter goes up, the knife goes with it. So,
okay.
So when you set your depth is going to stay the same, even over rocky and rough terrain and stuff like that. So
how do these roll over rocks?
They're pretty decent.
They're pretty decent? Well, we're going to put them to the test today because there's some buried rocks in this field.
You also put the closers on this one too. So those closers can be adjusted up and down, left and right in multiple different positions, so that you make sure that you're covering that slit as you go through the ground. So.
Okay.
And then the closers are really nice for volatilization and stuff like that.
Sure,
so,
they help seal it back up. Yeah,
exactly.
Keep it inside the ground.
And keep it right there. So
awesome.
It's kind of it. I mean, it's pretty simple. We like to keep things simple at J&M, so.
That's good. You're going to need that if you're working with me. I can't get too complicated. 60 feet wide, we've got a 24 row planter.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. You can go 23 or 25 either way, you know.
If you want to split the difference on the ends.
So you're skipping a row, I assume.
Yes.
So if you go 25, you just put half the nitrogen on the last coulter.
You do a half rate on each end then, I suppose?
And then you would double up, you know.
Gotcha.
So, yep.
All right.
Should be fun. So Zach, it's been about a day since you've started running this. This is the first time you've side dressed in a really long time, right?
It's in a really long time, yeah, and the only other time I've done it was with anhydrous in the past. So this is the first time I've worked with 28% and the first time I've side dressed in a long time.
Yeah. Well, how's it going so far?
So far, pretty good. Took a little bit of time to get the setup just right with our conditions. We've got really variable conditions in this field. So we're going from really soft, heavy, lot of moisture in the ground to spots that you can hear the gravel underneath, and it's hard to get the same pressure and the same depth control. But we've tuned some with the hydraulic stops and with the pressures on the springs, and we've been able to get it so it's pretty good. We were able to try to maintain that depth pretty well now at this point. You can see right here, so this is a drier area of the field. There's a lot of rock underneath. You can hear the rocks going underneath the machine. So this is where we were having to see that variability, where we put some more pressure on some of the springs to keep the coulters in the ground. And
you can even see some of the coulters coming up.
Yeah, it definitely made some difference. I think I might even put a little more tension on a few of those rows, and maybe put a spacer under the tongue. You know, we moved it yesterday. I might put it like another 1/2-inch spacer just to move it a little bit again. But it seems like it's doing a pretty good job.
Tell us again why you're putting this nitrogen on, because this is not a normal thing for you guys in this area, right?
No, normally what we try to do is get anhydrous on in the fall, and we'll try and put on 100% of our nitrogen needs in the fall, right before the soil gets cold and freezes. And then we're good to go for nitrogen. But in this case, I had a strip tiller set up, and I had anhydrous hooked on behind it, but I struggled with it so much that we were getting kind of down to crunch time, and I just unhooked the anhydrous and said, we'll worry about it in the spring. And instead of floating urea on and doing conventional tillage to work that in, we planted directly into a lot of the strips in most areas in this field. And so we're coming back now, getting our nitrogen needs down right now in season, which I kind of wanted to test anyway.
Is it what you expect from a J&M product?
Way better.
Really?
You know, honestly, all the J&M products we really like. They just seem to be practical. They're not overly complicated. They're practical as far as use. You know, with like the extended reach auger on the grain carts, and the way the header trailers work, where they've got the rear tires that follow in the path, and how this machine is just not overcomplicated. I mean, I really like that. Working with the product seems really user friendly.